Shooting incident on Welfare Road. Response to recent public statements by MP Lewis. Parliament meeting regarding US-China, trade war impacts, large-scale tourism events, and marketplace construction delays. Message from the Minister of Labour, Richard Brugge, Know Your Rights. Empowering our workforce employer. From the island, St. Martin, this is SXM Daily News for April 21st, 2026. The police force of St. Martin, KPSM, provides the following update regarding the shooting incident that occurred in the early morning hours of Tuesday, April 21st, 2026, on Welfare Road in the vicinity of a well-known restaurant. Based on further investigation, it has been determined that the incident stemmed from an attempted robbery targeting a patron in the area of the restaurant, and not the establishment itself. During the course of this attempted robbery, shots were fired. A total of 3 individuals sustained gunshot wounds during the incident. Among the victims is an American female tourist who was inside the restaurant at the time and was struck by a bystander. 2 of the injured persons received medical attention at the St. Martin Medical Center, SMMC. The 3rd victim sought medical treatment at a medical facility on the French side of the island. At this time, it has been confirmed that none of the injuries sustained are life-threatening. As previously reported, officers responding to the incident observed a vehicle believed to be involved and initiated a pursuit. The suspect vehicle fled the scene and crossed to the French side via the Bellevue area. Efforts to identify and locate the suspects are ongoing. KPSM detectives continue to investigate this case actively and are gathering additional evidence, including digital information, to establish the full circumstances surrounding the incident. Further updates will be provided as more information becomes available. KPSM once again urges anyone who may have witnessed the incident or who may have relevant information to come forward and assist in the investigation. Members of Parliament are speaking out on the conditions of road accidents on the island.
Wish all the family members of the persons that lost their life over the weekend. It's very sad, very unfortunate. Yes, I'm a bit emotional by it, especially also seeing that one of the young men that lost their life was a former client of mine that was doing very well. So I want to wish his family members as well, Mr. Augustine Moses, much strength. And let's be safe on the road. A lot of accidents are happening. A lot of fights are happening. Let's take care of each other. It's a moment of celebration, a moment of coming together. So let's be each other's keeper.
The damaged road in Sugar Garden that caused the accident, with the police officer, with the tourists, and with others unknown to us, I would like to know when will that be repaired, Madam Chair, because they did something, but to me it's worse than before. So again, to be more preventative instead of being reactive, I would like to know if the minister is tuning in or somebody from his staff is tuning in, when will that road be repaired? Madam Chair, if you drive around the island right now, if we adjourn this meeting and drive around the island is filthy. Garbage is all over. You can't miss it. Especially now at a time where so many persons are visiting our island, Madam Chair, it's a shame, it's embarrassing. I'm getting messages left, right, and center, and I would like to know when the Minister of Rummy will return to address those pressing matters.
Madam Chair, I would like to echo some of the sentiments here. I give my sincere condolences to the bereaved families who have lost someone recently. Madam Chair, and I'd like to also echo the sentiments of my colleague, MP Duran, with regard to the unsanitary situation that our country is in. Madam Chair, I have received, as you know, I'm very public about it, I have posted pictures of how filthy St. Martin is, Madam Chair. And someone mentioned, Madam Chair, and the area that I particularly zoomed in on was in Coal Bay, a place where when tourists land at Simpson Bay, they have to go through. Madam Chair, I understood that the entire island has a sanitation issue. St. Martin government has to make it easier for the people to dispose of their garbage. This is sentiment from a concerned citizen. People also have to help with keeping the island clean. All the local areas on the island is being neglected, and it really looks like a third world country. But the hotel and resorts areas are spotless. This is one of the public messages that is posted on my Facebook page, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I saw since the motion was presented here in Parliament that some type of work was being done with regards to the pavement of Arch Road, which I understood was already signed off by the former government, not the first Messalina cabinet, but the former government before that, the minister, or former minister sitting right here. Madam Chair, I saw the car wrecks that I mentioned on the Illich Road leading to the Bush Road also was being taken up. And one would ask the question, how come it had to take for a motion to be presented, Madam Chair, for work to start to be executing in the Ministry of Rummy? Madam Chair, it is unacceptable. And whether that motion passed or not, Madam Chair, I think the person has to do the honorable thing and resign. Thank you, Madam Chair.
During the budget debate, I mentioned the control on scooters. A motion was passed. The Minister of Justice actively took on the role and started to put control all over. Later down, I mentioned that it makes no sense if we are going to continue letting scooters come on the road without insurance, without number plate, sold to minors. It's like trying to close a pipe with a leak. So that ain't happening. On the 23rd of March, Madam Chair Lady, I sent a letter to both ministers, the Minister of Justice and the Minister of TIAT, asking how far they were with looking into that procedure. I've not heard anything as yet. And last night, we lost another life on a scooter. Condolences to all the families that have continuously lost family members during this period with scooters and motorbikes. But Madam Chair Lady, the government could do something about it. I'd like to see that happen. I'd like to see that happen. I got a picture of a person riding on the main road with an electric scooter, a step on the main road. I've seen people dropping children to school on a scooter with no helmet, running through traffic. So the question is, what are we going to do? Are we going to wait till we get one of those accidents with a child, for a child to lose its life, before we start to do something about it? Madam Chair Lady, they don't do it on the front side. They reach on the front side, on the border, they put on the helmet. So if they could do it over there, they could do it here too. And the reason they don't do it here is because we don't enforce the law. Madam Chair Lady, if you go party on the front side, at no point you're going to think about drinking and driving, because you know 99.9% that the gendarme going to stop you and they're going to deal with you if you're drinking. What is happening on the Dutch side? Everybody driving and drinking.
Words of condolences to the family and friends of the persons who have lost their lives tragically in traffic over the past couple of days. We have also noticed, or I have also noticed, the strain that is being placed on our law enforcement officers to hold up the law, to keep order in the place. And I just want to ask the entire population, during these festive days of celebrating Carnival on St. Martin, please take personal responsibility for your conduct, for your carrying ons, be it in traffic or otherwise, because it is really quite a task for our law enforcement officers to keep track of everything and everybody. Someone over the weekend, sort of in jest, but I think it's a serious matter, indicated that just maybe we should put a boxing ring in the Carnival Village, and persons who are desirous of fighting get in the ring, control the fighting, and take the pressure off of our police officers. And I said it was mentioned in jest, but this is the kind of suggestions that we really have to come to, because persons do not respect themselves, their environment, and the fact that they are on St. Martin. And so again, this statement comes in expressing condolences. It is indeed sad for St. Martin to have lost 3 lives during the past couple of days and in traffic. Condolences to the family and friends. I also want to join my colleagues who have expressed their frustration regarding the cleanliness of this island, and in particular the reference that was made to Coal Bay. In fact, the one place in particular which has been highlighted on social media and also mentioned here, in fact, I have asked privately that that particular location at the garage on the main road, Union Road, that is next to the Sol gas station, that be cleaned up, and hopefully it can be done today. But it's to prove a point, not to say that that's the only place where needed cleaning, but that is really, that was a disgrace and an eyesore to all of us. However, I have also addressed the fact that right across the road, where derelict cars are stationed, and then one of the trunks of these cars is open, and the trunk is being used as a garbage dump. And this is, again, on a main road. Just like we are applying zero tolerance in justice, we're going to have to start to apply it across the board. And derelict cars, especially on the main roads, after one warning should be moved. And if at all possible, for the cost of the person who has them there, because this is really and truly getting out of hand.
The police force of St. Martin, KPSM, is expressing serious concern regarding the number and severity of traffic accidents recorded during the first quarter of 2026. An analysis conducted by the Traffic Department indicates that while the overall number of traffic accidents and incidents during the first quarter of 2026 remains comparable to the same period in 2024 and 2025, there has been a significant and alarming increase in the severity of these incidents. In particular, the number of serious injuries and fatal accidents has risen sharply. Statistical data show that in 2024, a total of 5 traffic-related fatalities were recorded for the entire year. In 2025, 3 traffic-related fatalities were recorded for the entire year. However, in the first quarter of 2026 alone, a total of 7 traffic fatalities have already been recorded. This disturbing trend has prompted KPSM and the Traffic Department to intensify their analysis of the underlying causes of these serious accidents. Preliminary findings indicate that dangerous driving behavior and reckless driving are among the primary contributing factors. Further assessment has also identified several key locations where a concentration of serious accidents has occurred, including WJA, Nisbeth Road, Welfare Road, and Bush Road. The police of St. Martin emphasizes that irresponsible behavior in traffic, particularly by scooter and motorcycle riders, operators of quad bikes, and other motorists who fail to adhere to traffic regulations, continues to have a direct impact on road safety and the occurrence of serious accidents. KPSM warns that reckless and dangerous driving riding is unacceptable. Actions will be carried out, particularly on the identified high-risk roads. Persons found violating traffic laws can expect strict penalties, including fines, vehicle confiscation, and, where applicable, arrest and prosecution. Beyond legal consequences, the personal impact of reckless driving is severe and often irreversible. Serious accidents result in life-altering injuries, permanent disabilities, and the loss of lives. Families are left grieving, and communities are deeply affected by these preventable tragedies. Additionally, the broader impact on Sint Maarten is significant. Frequent serious accidents place a heavy burden on emergency services, healthcare systems, and law enforcement resources. They also negatively affect public safety, traffic flow, and the island's image as a safe destination for residents and visitors alike. Road Safety Reminder. KPSM strongly urges all road users to take responsibility and adopt safer driving habits. Obey speed limits at all times. Avoid overtaking in unsafe situations. Refrain from dangerous stunts and reckless maneuvers. Always wear protective gear when operating scooters, motorcycles, or quads. Never drive under the influence of alcohol or other substances. Remain alert and focused while driving. Adherence to the traffic ordinance of Sint Maarten is essential in preventing further injuries and loss of life. KPSM will continue to monitor the situation closely and will implement additional measures where necessary to improve road safety. Continuation Public Meeting of Parliament. Regarding US-China trade war impacts, large-scale tourism events, and marketplace construction delays by the Minister of Tourism, Economic Affairs, Transport and Telecommunication, Grisha Heiliger Martin. This meeting was requested by MP Doran, MP York, MP Irian at the House of Parliament on Monday, April 20th.
Has the ministry conducted an assessment on how the ongoing trade tensions between the major economic countries affect the impact of the import costs? Yes, the Ministry of TED has been continuously monitoring and assessing global geopolitical developments, including the current tensions involving the United States, Iran, and their potential economic impact on Sint Maarten. However, it is important to state clearly, Sint Maarten is a small, open, import-dependent economy, which means that we do not control global prices for fuel, food, or shipping. These are determined on international markets. What we can and are doing is, or are, monitoring fuel price movements and shipment costs, engaging directly with importers, wholesalers, and distributors, tracking inflation through collaboration with Stats and CB and Central Bank, identifying pressure points in the supply chain early. So yes, assessments are ongoing, not as a one-time exercise, but as a continuous monitoring process to inform timely policy responses. Next question. Concrete results of March 2025, April 25 compared to March and April 2026 after war in Iran. The ministry, in collaboration with the Department of Statistics and Central Bank of Sint Maarten, has reviewed comparative trends between March, April 2025 and March, April 2026. Due to that data shows that the import cost pressures has increased, particularly since escalations of tensions in the Middle East, and primarily drivers are the high global oil prices, the increased shipping and freight costs, and rising insurance premiums for cargo and shipping routes. It is critical to clarify that these are not caused by domestic policies, nor by tariff imposed by Sint Maarten, but by external global disruptions. From the inflation standpoint, we are seeing moderate but noticeably upward pressure, especially in food, transportation, utility, linked to fuel costs, and construction. At this stage, the projections do not indicate a crisis, but they do signal a need for vigilance and preparedness. From a tourism perspective, global uncertainty can impact travel behavior. However, Sint Maarten continues to perform relatively strong due to its positioning and ongoing marketing efforts. We continue to monitor the airlift capacity and the cruise deployment and the booking patterns, which are still positive to date. So the tourism sector as a main pillar of the economy remains sensitive to global economic uncertainty, but changes in consumer confidence and spending patterns in key source markets may influence visitor demand. But the ministry is therefore closely monitoring tourism indicators, including airlift and all of that as well. And so far, we are still in a positive trajectory. Can the minister indicate which product the ministry believe are most vulnerable to the price increase and the current global environment? The most vulnerable and affected product categories are fuel and energy-related products, and these are the most critical, and they have a direct and indirect impact on all sectors of the economy. Then you have the food products with high import dependencies, including grains, dairy, poultry. These are particularly sensitive to global supply chain exposure. Then you have construction materials, including cement, steel, lumber. These are affected by both shipping costs and global demand shifts. And then lastly, you have consumer goods dependent on long supply chains. So general retail items are also experiencing incremental cost increases due to the logistics disruptions. And these increases are gradually being passed through to consumers, contributing to a cost of living pressures as we are seeing. Has the ministry engaged with the private sector to see if the prices have begun to rise in terms of the import costs? Yes, the ministry maintains an ongoing and direct engagement with key private sector stakeholders. This includes shipping agents and logistic providers, imports and wholesalers, retail sector representatives, utility companies, Chamber of Commerce, and business associations. And through these engagements, we are receiving real-time feedback from the market, not assumptions. The consistent feedback is that freight and logistic costs have increased incrementally. There are early signs of pressure linked to fuel prices and global shipping routes, and businesses are becoming more cautious in pricing and inventory management. This engagement is critical because it allows government to disruptions early, validate the data beyond statistics, and understand how global developments are translating into real costs on the ground. So to be clear, we are not waiting for the problem to escalate. We're actively tracking it and with those directly involved in the supply chain. Has the ministry conducted any scenario planning on how the global trade tension could affect inflation on the overall cost of living of St. Martin? Yes, scenario planning in an active and ongoing component of the ministry is an ongoing component of the ministry's work. We are not operating in a reactive mode. We are anticipating potential impacts based on global developments, including the current geopolitical tension. The ministry utilizes an integral monitoring and analysis framework, which includes consumer price index, the CPI, from data from stats, fuel pricing tracking and international oil trends, shipping and freight cost indicators, tourism performance data, airlift, arrival spending patterns, and regional and international economic forecasts, including central bank and the multilateral institution. This then also distinguishes between short-term price fluctuation and long-term price inflationary trends. So identify which sectors are most at risk and prepare policy options where intervention is feasible. So the current scenario assessment indicates that moderate inflationary pressure, particularly driven by fuel and logistics, and that there's a potential ripple effect into food prices, utilities, and transportation. However, it is important that we are not seeing indicators of an uncontrolled inflation scenario at this point in time.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to szp.sx and sign up now.
Your social health insurances.
Let me start with something simple. The questions MP Lewis has been talking about in the press have not actually reached my office yet. They will be answered in full once they come through the proper channel in Parliament. But because the narrative being advanced in public right now is wrong, a few things need to be said straight away. For the sake of clarity, one important point should be corrected at the outset. The Chief of Police has not been appointed to a separate post of Secretary General. What is at issue is a temporary stand-in arrangement to ensure continuity of the ministry when the Secretary General is absent or unavailable. Such arrangements are governed by Article 25 of the Civil Servants Ordinance and exist precisely to prevent administrative stagnation. Acting Secretary General is not a job. It is not a position that gets posted, advertised, or filled through a recruitment process. It is simply the rule for who steps in on days when the Secretary General is away, sick, traveling for work, or otherwise unavailable. Every ministry needs someone who can sign papers and keep the work of government moving. That is all this is. Now to the heart of the conflict of interest claim, because it rests on a basic misunderstanding of how the justice chain actually works. A conflict of interest arises when someone ends up in a position to supervise themselves, or to check their own work, or to make decisions about their own pay, promotion, or discipline. That is not the situation here, and it never has been. The Chief of Police does not report to the Secretary General. He never has. Under the law, the Chief of Police answers to the Minister for Operational Policing Matters, and the Secretary General runs the civil service side of the ministry. They are two separate tracks that both lead to the minister, not one track where one person sits above the other. And on both of those tracks, the minister holds political responsibility and the final decision. A stand-in does not set policy. A stand-in does not make decisions that are reserved to the minister by law. Nothing of substance moves in this ministry without my knowledge and my authorization. That is how the system is designed, and that is how it is being run. As a lawyer, and as the sitting Minister of Justice, I take that responsibility seriously. The decision to designate the Chief of Police as a stand-in was mine, made with full awareness of the applicable legal framework. Mr. John has my confidence. He has served as Chief of Police since 2015, has performed well in that role, and has played a constructive part in bringing cohesion to the ministry. And this is where the concern deepens, not about the arrangement, but about the person raising the alarm. MP Lewis is a former Minister of Justice and a former police officer. The Kingdom Act on the Police and the broader framework that governs how the Chief of Police, the Minister, and the civil apparatus of the ministry relate to each other is not unfamiliar territory for him. It is territory he has worked in for years, from both sides. A misunderstanding of this basic structure from someone with his background is difficult to explain as an honest mistake. The public is entitled to ask whether the confusion is real or whether the framework is being misrepresented on purpose to manufacture a controversy. Neither possibility reflects well on the seriousness of the concerns he claims to be raising. That brings us to the history, and this is where the facts matter most. This arrangement is not new, and it is not unusual. For years, under several different governments, the role of acting Secretary General has been filled by whichever service head within the ministry made sense at the time. Under Minister Kirindongo, the Chief of Police filled it. Under Minister Anna Richardson, the role rotated among multiple service heads over the course of her tenure. For a long stretch spanning multiple administrations, including during MP Lewis's own tenure as Minister of Justice, the head of the Financial Intelligence Unit filled it. None of this was treated as a conflict of interest at the time. No 50-question letters were sent to Parliament. No press releases were written about good governance and institutional integrity. The work of the ministry simply continued, because that is what the stand-in arrangement exists to make possible. So the question answers itself. If the same arrangement was acceptable under Minister Kirindongo, across Minister Richardson's full tenure, and during MP Lewis's own time as Minister of Justice, it cannot suddenly become a scandal now. The arrangement has not changed. The person writing the press release has. I welcome scrutiny. Every minister should. But scrutiny only means something when the same rules are applied to everyone. Raising an alarm about something perfectly fine when you were the one doing it is not scrutiny. It is politics. Public debate is important, but it should remain grounded in the applicable legal framework and in the facts. The people working in our justice sector deserve better than that, and so does the public. When MP Lewis's questions reach my desk through Parliament, they will be answered fully and on the record. Minister of Public Health, Social Development and Labour, Richinel Brugge, every worker and employer across a great line. Will you agree? A construction movement, a teacher, a caregiver, a casual, a civil servant, or part of our vital hospitality sector. You will let us. You are the ones who keep the United moving every single day. Through your dedication, long hours, and quiet sacrifices, you support your families, strengthen our communities, and help build the future of relations.
Blessings, people of St. Martin. As Minister of Labour, I want to take a moment to speak directly to every worker and employer across our beautiful island. Whether you're a cleaner, a construction worker, a teacher, a caregiver, a cashier, a civil servant, or part of our vital hospitality sector, your work matters. You are the ones who keep St. Martin moving every single day through your dedication, long hours, and quiet sacrifices. You support your families, strengthen our communities, and help build the future of our nation. Please know that your efforts are seen, valued, and deeply appreciated, and that my commitment remains to continue working towards fair, safe, and dignified conditions for all workers. You have rights, and you deserve to know them. In St. Martin, the labor laws are designed to protect the dignity, safety, and well-being of both employees and employers. These laws create a fair and respectful working environment where everyone understands their rights and responsibilities. And as employers, you are entitled to 1. Employees who perform their duties responsibly and professionally. 2. Clear labor regulations that support business continuity. 3. Fair procedures when addressing performance or disciplinary matters. 4. Protection against misconduct, abuse, or false claim. And both employers and employees are entitled to guidance and support from labor authorities to ensure compliance. Yet too many workers are unaware of these protections or too afraid to speak up. At the same time, many employers lack clarity on their rights and obligations. That must change. This is why our ministry is reinforcing the Know Your Rights campaign to ensure every worker understands what he or she is entitled to under the law. We are also reminding every employer that compliance is not optional. A fair, respectful, and productive workplace is the foundation of a stable and prosperous economy, not only for the employees, but also for the employers, which will produce better working atmosphere. To our youths entering the job market, to our migrants workers seeking opportunity, and to our long-standing employees and employers, you are not alone. The Ministry of Labor is here for you. You can visit our office, reach out to us by phone, or access online material for a better understanding. St. Martin's future depends on a strong, informed, and respected workforce. Let us build a culture where workers and employers work together in partnership with transparency, trust, and accountability. Know your rights. Claim your rights. Respect others' rights. With determination and unity, we can make every workplace in St. Martin a place of fairness and opportunity. Thank you, and may God bless St. Martin.
More on St. Martin celebrates 55 years Carnival. SXM Daily News brings you of the Junior Children's Parade.
Right.
Now for the weather forecast. Tonight through Wednesday, partly cloudy with brief showers possible. Surface winds. Today through Wednesday, easterly with a gentle to moderate breeze at 8 to 15 meaning PM Pride. State of the sea. Slight to moderate waves, swells 2 to 5 feet. Outlook through Wednesday midday. Fair to partly cloudy with a brief shower possible. And now your 3-day forecast.
Your social and health insurance is SXM. Your social and health insurance is.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, yeah. Your social and health insurance is.
Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley's speech at the Stuns the World blasts Western imperialism on April 19, 2026. Democracy works. Where are the levels for people? And I come from a country. Let us learn what it is to be a pawn of others from the majority of our modern existence. I come from a party that was established 88 years ago to help stop people from being poor, to fight injustice, and to create opportunities for our people. And I don't say so for the sake of saying so, because today, our people have access to free tertiary education, free primary, and free secondary education.
It's important for me to say why I say so. Democracy works when it delivers for people. And I come from a country that has known what it is to be a pawn of others for the majority of our modern existence. I come from a party that was established 88 years ago to help stop poor people from being poor and to fight injustice and to create opportunities for our people. And I don't say so for the sake of saying so, because today our people have access to free tertiary education, free primary, free secondary education. Today, the people of my country have access to free health care, and while we battle with the quality of health care because of the increasing cost globally and particularly in the Western Hemisphere, we remain resolute about being able to give them the best health care possible that we can give them. I come from a country where public transport and where Social Security works for ordinary people. I come from a country that introduced a minimum wage in the middle of COVID, when others said that the economy would collapse. And we said, let us try. And we tried and we introduced it, and the minimum wage has been increased twice in the last 6 years. I come from a country that knows that democracy works when it delivers for people. But part of the difficulty that we have is that the majority of persons globally who have been given the opportunity to come out of poverty do not look back and see those who they left. And whether that is those who have come out of poverty in rich countries, or those who have come out of poverty in middle-income countries, or those who have come out of poverty in poor countries, the conscience that we require of human beings is not working in the way that it should. Because if it worked, then we would see people and understand that people deserve a fair chance. And we would recognize that healthcare is a basic right, not a luxury. And we would get it, that affordable wages, livable wages, must be the target for all of us. We have a world that is at war. A world that is at war in Europe, a world that is at war in Africa, a world that is at war in the Middle East, a world that is at war with inequality, a world that is at war with the planet. And the one people who can change it on earth is human beings. But we have to choose to do better. And I believe that it is possible for us to do so. You may ask, if democracy is working for us in our small state, why am I here? I am here because the international community has not made it possible for small states to be able to breathe properly, for small states to participate in a global community, in an international rules-based order that is essential for us to survive. I am here because 80 years after the Bretton Woods institutions were created, and created in the image of the handful of countries that existed at the time, they still do not see small states. They still do not see developing states. They are still prepared to accept that 600 million people can go in the world without basic access to electricity, that water and food insecurity is as large as it is, regrettably, among the majority of our people. And the best kept secret is that the majority of poor people do not live in poor countries globally. The majority of poor people live in middle income and upper middle income countries globally. And this brings us back to the reality of choice. We have choice about how we spend our money. We have choice about what matters to us. And we have choice ultimately about what battles we fight and what wars we start and what wars we end. And we will only be able to achieve that if ordinary people hold ordinary leaders to account, and if leaders remember how they got there rather than forgetting the ladder upon which they climbed to be able to exercise power.
This is our SXM Daily Newscast. Thank you for joining us.